Wow.
And yeah, and I think the plan then was a standard two kids, a wife, a car, and a job that I liked.
How's
With
that work?
not, yeah, that didn't work out.
Hey, welcome to the Word of God. I'm your host, Tony God, and today we're going to be talking to Clark Brooks, old friend of mine. He is a writer, comedian, actor, artist, Army veteran, and he's a journeyman. Great, because today on the Word of God, the word is journey. So we're going to be talking about that. Before we get back into the interview, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed and you enjoy this kind of content. That really helps us out, helps us grow, and gives us access to other tools we can use to make the show even better. As you will see, like I said, I'm starting this thing from scratch, so I'm leaving you with a cliffhanger. You'll see why, but that means the journey continues. Let's get back to the interview.
Uh, if it's a compound word, I find myself saying "shut up" a lot. So it kind of, yeah. So maybe if you spell it SHADDUP, shut up.
Okay,
And
so
that's probably,
I'm thinking you like actionable words.
well, I just find myself, you're in crowds and people are generally louder than they need to be. They've got their phones going, even though they could be muting that or putting a headphone on. And I just find myself under my breath going, shut up.
That's well.
Or
Let me
somebody's
ask you
stupid.
this. Let me ask you this. You said "shut up's your favorite word." It's your favorite word
Yeah.
now. What was your
It's
favorite
my what?
word? It's your favorite word now. But what was your favorite word in the '90s pre-cell phone?
Pre cell phone? It was probably still shut up. People have always been loud or playing their music too loud in the car or just doing something. And you just, like you see some guy like seriously riding his bike and he's dressed like an Italian racer. And, you can't tell him to not look like that. So you just say, shut up and just
Shut up.
drive past. Yeah,
It's
it's just a dismiss.
it's a
Just shut
dismissive
up.
word. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah,
So to you it's dismissive. That's the angle.
yeah, yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, it's enough from you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. So
And then if I can place a vote for a second one, I do like, speaking of dismissive, I like a quick, when somebody asks a question or they have an earnest invitation and the person replies just nope. I'm a big fan of the short dismissive nope. Always makes me laugh.
I have I like to use the word great
Okay.
because people don't know what to do with it. It depends on how you say it, you know.
Yeah,
So it's very effective.
they can take it as a positive if they
Yeah.
want. Yeah,
Or they
great.
can take it as, oh great. Oh great. I've heard
Yeah.
enough. That's enough.
Or
Good.
oh great. Yeah.
I usually mean it facetiously so they understand I really don't care what you're
Right.
telling me.
Yeah.
Great. just,
Great.
just
Yeah.
end it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna start hashtagging that with shut up.
Yeah. Shut up. I'm
Did
sorry.
you get
Journey?
Journey?
Okay. Not like the band, like the
Well,
taking it.
I mean, let's not dismiss the band.
No, the band's
I'll throw
fine.
it. As long as I've known you, you are constantly like just doing new stuff, trying something new. And
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? What is that drive? Has that always existed?
Yeah, I think it's a selfish uh quest to keep myself entertained. I think I get bored and probably stems back from when I was a little kid. And when you're a kid, you invent games or turn things into toys to keep
Yeah.
yourself amused. It's probably just a logical progression from that.
Were you an only child, or do you have?
No, I had a sister. I had a sister girl. She was 4 years younger, and then I had friends and stuff. But still, I would just find myself wanting to draw or write or,
Mhm.
make stuff. I just find that stuff fun. It's just to keep me amused and out of trouble, basically.
I did a lot of that when I was a kid. I used to write I would write stories for characters
Hmm.
that I would see, like the Mr. Peanut man.
Yeah, yeah.
I wrote a whole story. I gave him a whole family and
Hmm.
everything. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, it's like, did you do stuff like that?
Yeah. For whatever reason, my dad was a cop. So we always seemed to have cop shows on TV. This was the late 70s, which there was a lot of cop shows. So
Yeah.
I'd find myself like recreating my own episodes or writing new episodes and acting those out with the little Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels cars and stuff. Yeah,
Oh, so you were an actor early on. So
yeah,
basically, you were a director and a writer director. You were Quentin Tarantino before you
yeah,
were.
exactly. I was definitely the of my time in my neighborhood. Yeah,
I was a
with fewer
Tarantino.
with far fewer n words. So
Oh yeah. Is that how you kind of got started in writing? Because that's one of the things you've done is you've written books. You've written a couple books now, or you've
yeah,
published a couple.
I don't know. I've always had an interest in writing. I've always liked, like I said, creating stuff. And where that really kicked into gear, I had a pretty miserable day job as a hotel desk clerk, and I was really hating my existence. And one day I was writing at the same time, and one day I just decided to stop identifying as a hotel desk clerk and just tell people I'm a writer. And I fully expected people would push back, like, "Well, what have you written? Where's your book?
Right.
And that they wouldn't accept it. And for the most part, people accepted that. And I was like, okay, I can self label myself. I'm a writer now.
Yeah.
And then going forward from that, it turns into stuff like you get writing jobs. You can, I've written for America Online, I've written for the NHL, I've written for Major League Baseball. You just kind of, what's it called? Speaking truth to power,
Yeah.
or fake it till you make it. You just decide you are this thing. And then the next thing you know, you are this thing.
So
And
that's a good. Can I stop you for a second on that thought? Because that's a really
yeah,
good thing. I wanted to point out because a lot of people wait for validation from
yeah,
other people. You basically validated yourself.
yeah. I think you have to because validation from other
Yeah.
people may never come.
No, I agree. I agree. I think a lot of people wait to be validated. They want someone else to tell them that they're this or they're that and that they
Yeah,
can do it, as to where the people that actually do it, like yourself, you said, I am a writer. This
right,
is what I can do. I can prove it. It's not that, there's nothing to it. I can prove it.
right.
I've got proof. I'm that confident in what I do. So that's a thing to point out, that you're self-validating instead of waiting around.
And I try to encourage other people. People will come to me and they'll say things like, "I always want to be a writer." I'm like, "Well, then write." And
Uh,
once you're writing, you can say you are a writer. You're producing and creating content. You are, by definition, a writer now. Same thing with a comedian. You're telling
yeah.
jokes. You're doing comedy. You are a comedian.
Well, unless they come to my open mic, and then I will validate them if
Well,
they're
that's
funny.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's true though. As a comedian, you have to validate yourself,
yeah.
even in the beginning, even when you're awful, because you're going to be awful. Some people,
Right.
you know,
Supposed to. If you're good at it when you start, you're doing it wrong.
yeah. If you're good at it when you start and you can keep that momentum, then you are a unicorn. No one
Yeah.
else exists like you. Because it just doesn't happen, just because you're going to grow.
And there's nowhere to go if you're already good. You want
Right.
to be bad. You can
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah,
So,
because there's no challenge.
but that same approach comes to creating your comedy. Like you always have to tell people, like you have to write what you find funny first, and then your challenge is to get that relatable so that an audience goes with you on that journey. But you can't start out like, you know what? I think the audience at this place will like this joke. I'm going to write it, and it's not authentic. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be funny.
Yeah, if you're sitting around asking, well, what do people want to hear about?
Right.
No, that's what podcast and comment sections are for, but it's like if you're the performer, you have to tell them what you're talking about, and then that's what they're going to hear about.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, you're exactly right. When you start looking around instead of like just write what you think, what makes you laugh.
Right. Right. You start any other way. I mean, why would you want to start any other way?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you started you started stand up. What year was that? It was around 2012?
2015. I'm right at 10 years in.
Oh, wow. All right. Decade,
Yeah.
man. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my gold jacket or whatever comes with that. I don't know.
It's in the mail.
Oh, good. I'll look for the mail.
Yeah. I got 3 of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean, they're still in shipping, but
right.
Because that whole chain of
yeah, it's a flawed process.
It gets caught up. It gets caught up in the where are they shipping from? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I know they go across the Gulf of America.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where the hang up is, right there.
I think that's the problem. They don't know. They can't find that on the map.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, this is never going to get delivered.
Yeah. And that self-confidence thing, that reminded me, another philosophy I have is you have to be fearless. And a lot of comics don't understand the difference between being fearless and not caring.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. And the ones who don't get that, like, I don't know if I can name drop another comedian. She's not around in locally anymore, but did you ever meet Marie Williams?
Marie Williams. I want to say I have. What is it?
Marie Williams.
Marie Williams.
Yeah, she was fearless, and I really admired that about her. Like, and it wasn't, she didn't care. She definitely cared, but she was also fearless in her confidence and her ability to present and what she thought was going to be funny. And I really admire that quality in people and creative people.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people get stuck. They don't want to take a chance anymore. When you find a formula to get the laughs, you just want to keep repeating it because that's what's going to pay the bills. But it's like
or they conflate that with they conflate that with I don't care. Well, you've got to care.
Yeah,
you're on stage, you're entertaining, you're presenting to people.
Yeah,
you can't not care.
You can't not care. You can't. That's the whole thing about when you get up there. It's like it's your persona that takes on the not caring. That's what it's presenting. I don't care. Whatever. You don't faze me. But the reality is, you want them to get what you're saying. Otherwise, 100%. You wouldn't say it. I mean, there's easier ways to get your message across than on a stage at a comedy show, because that's, you're also there to make them laugh. So you got to do your job, but you got to get, it's got to be putting your point or attempting to put your point across while you make them laugh.
Yep.
So, well, what do you find easier doing, like writing or performing?
I think I'm a far better writer than a performer. I think I'm a little stiff on stage and kind of I've been saying for a long time I should take an improv class so I can be more physical and kind of explore the space. I wind up feeling very stationary in one spot on stage. And I don't know how dynamic that comes across as my performance.
Well,
but
that's tough.
Yeah, and I see other guys that are really good at that, and I'm a little jealous. So I think maybe at some point I'll take an improv class and learn to move around a little bit. I have a million pictures of myself where I have a hand on a hip and my other hand is doing this, like I'm a little teapot pose.
Yeah,
like that's my one thing that I do. I don't know. So
well, I mean, but the reality is, though, you can just stand there and
Yeah.
do your thing, because there's a ton of comics that do that,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
they could be doing the same thing. They could be, being more animated as well. But I mean, it's there's no reason you can't. But if you want to move around, do it. Yeah. I mean, is that like
That's
something that you thought about when you started? Like, do I want to be stationary, or do I want to act out and be animated, or?
No, I really just wanted to get my material across. I didn't really think about a lot of act outs and flamboyant gestures
Yeah.
and stuff. I'm a little jealous of guys who can do that. I think that's
Yeah.
a good extra skill set to have. I don't have it for whatever reason. So,
Yeah. I'll take
um,
that as a compliment. So,
oh, good. Well, like the other day, you put me up after Steve Sargent,
so yeah,
and
Steve,
and Steve's all over the place. It's
Steve's
like
got
Robin on a bender. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go up there and stand there, and I hope I can maintain interest after Steve goes through there like the Tasmanian devil,
Steve's got
So
really good energy.
yeah,
I like what I see him becoming,
yeah, better.
because I mean, he's got the likability. As long as
Yep,
he doesn't lose that,
yeah,
he's going to do really great.
yeah, I agree.
But you know what? That was actually uh, a good lineup,
Yeah,
because after
thank,
high energy like that, you want someone else to go up that isn't trying to match that, but they're
cleanse the
funny.
palate. Yeah,
Yeah, they're funny. I couldn't put up like a newbie after him,
right, right. Yeah,
and continue the flow. There's how I do a lineup. There's got to
yeah,
be a fluidity to it.
yeah,
There's, even though it might not make sense to other people, I'm trying to create a fluidity, and most
sure.
of the time, it comes out pretty good. But yeah, like that, the high energy. Have you ever had to follow, have you ever had to follow someone on a regular show like that, like on a
Uh,
paid show?
I've hosted a few times for Dale Jones, who's very high energy, but I didn't have to follow him. I got to open for him, which was easy. I
Yeah,
just get everybody comfortable, get their drinks ordered and everything, and tell a
yeah,
few jokes, and he can go wild. So,
yeah. You
yeah,
can just crawl up there if you want to, because he's going to
right,
take.
yeah, yeah, because he's going to go crazy. He's Steve Sargent on crack. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. Best experience with a headliner.
Uh, they've almost all been great. There's been very few bad ones. One that stands out often is I got to open for Carl LeBove.
Oh yeah.
And the first time that happened, it was the host that was supposed to open for him had car trouble, and I got a call from the club manager and said, "Hey, if you can be here in 45 minutes, you can open for Carl LeBove." So I dropped what I was doing, went there, and as a host, the first thing you do is you go to the headliner and say, what would you like me to say as far as an introduction or anything you want me to plug? And Carl said, "You've seen me perform. Just say what's in your heart."
Ah,
And I thought, oh. And I went up and I, made up some stuff about how great he is and how legendary, impactful, inspired so many comics. And when he came in to shake my hand to take his place on stage, he leaned in and goes, "That was beautiful." And I have a picture of me leaving the stage with this big dumb smile on my face because I got validated by he's a legend.
yeah.
Carl LeBove is he's a legit
He goes
legend
way
of
back.
comedy.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
Sam Kinison and all those guys, the Outlaws.
yeah, sure, yep,
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's a stand. Yeah.
Well, did you have any don't meet your hero moments with any of the people you've worked with?
Not don't meet your hero. For the most part, I found that every headliner I've worked with has been pretty great, pretty easy to talk to, and I'm glad I spent time with them. Do you want me to name names for the ones that were less than pleasant? There's really only two.
It's up to you. You don't. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not. I don't do. It's not a gossip show, so I mean, But if
Uh,
we're just talking shop, so I mean, this is what people want to know.
there were two, and I'll just say that they're both brothers of bigger names,
Uh,
and they both kind of carried themselves like they're a bigger deal than they are. Uh, one guy gave me handwritten instructions on what exactly to say about him, and then didn't really hang out, interact during the whole weekend.
Are they
And then
brothers of the same guy?
no, they have two higher profile brothers. One passed away and used to be on Saturday Night Live. That's probably a giveaway. The other one had a very successful sitcom and has showed up in several Adam Sandler movies. Those are both giveaways. So
Oh,
yeah, but they weren't mean or anything. They just weren't that friendly. It wasn't fun to hang around with them.
standoffish.
Yeah, yeah. And one of them, to be fair, it was during COVID. He spent the whole weekend either on stage or in his car, so he didn't interact with anybody. So
Okay.
yeah,
Some of them
so
are like that. When Richard Lewis came through the improv back in the day, that was year one of the Tampa
yeah,
Improv.
yeah.
Well, he didn't come into the club. He
Oh,
didn't
really?
really come into the club. No, he was they brought him to the back in the car.
Uh-huh.
He
Yeah.
waited to be introduced, and then he went on stage and went back into the car, and they took him back to the hotel
Oh, wow.
between shows because he's old school. He's alcoholic. He was alcoholic, so he
Yeah,
didn't want to be around. He doesn't want to be around any alcohol, so
yeah.
he
You
just
can't.
stays away from it.
Yeah,
And I can tell he was old school because that was the first time I saw a comic, an entertainer like that. He came like the first show. I was working it. I was a door guy at that time. I wasn't even hosting yet.
hmm,
So he came to the back, and he wasn't going to go on stage until Bob
hmm.
paid him first.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
that's how you know
he's
he's old
probably been
school.
burned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these are the guys that were coming up in the '80s, you know. So it's like you got to
yeah,
think they were getting ripped off. It wasn't like
sure.
today. They had checks that bounced. You know, it's like
Yeah,
now you can scan your check while you before you get to your car, or you can get
yeah.
something else, a deposit, some kind of other way.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, so that was crazy. Pepsi, Coke, or Dr. Pepper?
Okay, so I don't drink soft drinks anymore as a for health reasons, but back in the day, it was Coke all the way.
Oh yeah, is
Oh
that one
yeah,
of the health reasons?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I've lost quite a bit of weight, and when I was fat, I've always worked in jobs that were like I've managed a movie theater. I've worked for sports teams, so
You
junk
work
food.
too close to refreshment stands.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. With late hours, and that's what's available to eat and drink. So I would find myself eating and drinking that stuff. So
Yeah,
uh, I quit all that cold turkey. But yeah, it was always venues that served Coke products. So yeah, all the time. Like
I did the
yeah,
same.
yeah, it was ridiculous.
I worked at a movie theater for a little bit as well.
Yeah,
It's just like, you got refreshments all, your whole
yeah,
shift. You're sipping on a soda, you get
yep,
grabbing popcorn, and
yep,
so
yep.
it's just, yeah, that's not good.
The other thing that I do a joke about this, but I would let myself believe that, well, this is all I don't have any other options. I have to eat this stuff. When the fact of the matter is, when you get off at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or whatever, if you go to 7-Eleven, they have bananas and apples and oranges. If you're willing to walk past the salty snacks and the hot dogs to get to them.
Yeah,
So it was a crutch, basically.
yeah.
So,
I used to work at a bar. I used to bartend. This is way, way back in the mid '90s.
yeah.
And every night after work is, it's like after 3 in the morning, steak and shake,
Yeah.
steak and shake. It was it. It's
Yeah.
so bad, man. It's so bad.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
bad. But yeah, it's like, but you've lost a lot of weight. So, I mean, how much have you lost now?
It's over 100 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
I'm down to like 261. I'm down to what Trump says he is. So,
What's a good book to read? What would you recommend?
My favorite book of all time is Alice's Adventures Through the Looking Glass,
Oh yeah,
which
that's
it's perceived as a kid's book, but I think it's great. I got turned on to that by being a fan of the Beatles and John Lennon, who was a big fan of that book.
okay. Now, isn't
Yeah,
that supposed to be like Alice in Wonderland?
yeah, that's Alice in
That's,
Wonderland.
so
Yeah,
that's like the original, the Alice. Yeah,
yeah, it's very trippy. There's a lot of great wordplay in it. So yeah, it's very fun to read it. I'll still read it every now and then. So
yeah. Okay, all right. So everybody, grab the book, the original, and you learn that from listening to the Beatles.
that's right.
There you go. Educated through an
Yeah,
acid
that's
trip.
right. Somebody else
Lucy,
has to take the benefit.
Lucy
Yeah,
in the Sky with Diamonds inspired me to read Alice.
right, right, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Terry, you were in the Army?
Yeah, I did 4 years in the Army, and it was, by any comparison to any other veteran services, it was really a piece of cake. It
Yeah,
was 82 to 86. Reagan was in office, so we were well funded, and we didn't come really close to any kind of conflict. So I really served the whole 4 years with no real worries about getting called up and going to war.
yeah.
Uh, I always tell people I played a lot of softball, and I did play a lot of softball.
Did you
Uh,
you liked your experience?
oh yeah, I got to travel, so that was awesome. I spent 2 years in Frankfurt, Germany, which is one of the best cities in the world.
My dad and my mom were both there. I think they met in Frankfurt.
It's a great city. It's, I compare it to like a city like New York, but clean and efficient, and the public transportation is top notch. And yeah, yeah. So that's an opportunity I wouldn't have had if it hadn't been for the service. But the closest we ever came to war, when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, we got put on alert the night that Grenada got invaded, and then they wound up sending another division instead of us. That's as close as I ever came.
Oh wow!
So
Where did you go to training at?
I trained at basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then AIT advanced training in Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Oh, nice. That's cool. What was your advanced training for? What was your
It was
specialty?
64 Charlie, which is truck driver, and I wound up in Germany. I wound up driving a tank transporter, which was also a cool experience. 22 and a half ton tractor that would haul 17-ton trailers, and we would go out. It was a crew of 6 of us. We'd go out at night when tanks would break down, and we'd go get these tanks that broke down during exercises, and then load them up on the trailers and haul them off down the Autobahn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
was pretty wild. But I always tell people, as far as my veteran status, when you're at a game and they do the let's have a standing ovation for all the troops, I won't receive that ovation. But if Denny's is offering 20% off breakfast, I'll take that. So I feel I'm worthy of a standing ovation, but I'll take your discounts on your food anytime. So
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
yeah, yeah, I didn't earn a standing ovation. I think I earned a 20% discount at Denny's.
Yeah, I'll take some pie. Give me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pie worthy. I'm a pie veteran. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. Um, it's a compound question for you, and this is something that directly talks about the journey. What was your life plan at 25, and how has that changed?
25. I was 3 years out of the military. That would have been 80. I think I was engaged to get married.
Wow.
And yeah, and I think the plan then was a standard 2 kids, a wife, a car, and a job that I liked.
How's
With
that work?
not, yeah, that didn't work out. uh, I didn't have any grand plans for any form of entertainment. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So it
So
didn't
like
work.
you thought
Better.
like you'd be getting like you'd come out of the military maybe as a and be a truck driver or in like some kind of blue collar work.
Well,
Or,
no,
oh, he froze up. I don't know. My screen froze up. so, so I'm on my laptop or my I'm I'm on the I'm on my phone now. So I don't know if it's a that's crazy. I don't know how this thing's gonna turn out. I I gotta wait for the screen to unfreeze, but then I'll huh? I think I got most of us on here. So yeah, man, I appreciate it. I wish this thing did. Hopefully, I'll be having a better setup next time. We could just hang out and be comfortable. So.